Welcome to episode 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Icons, a new series that I'm trying out where I talk about some of the biggest cards of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And their impact on the game's history. In the first episode, we talked about Summon Skull, and I'll make sure to link that at the end of this video just in case you guys missed it, but in today's video, we're talking about Blackluster Soldier. This card, much like Summon Skull, was featured prominently in promotional materials for Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. It had stickers and toys, and it was on t-shirts and posters. It really was a big icon of that era in the game's history. While never released in the TCG back in 1999, the OCG got a normal monster version of Blackluster Soldier. This was released as a prize card for their Duel Monsters National Tournament, and the text on this card, just if you're wondering, said, "A powerful warrior with the same capabilities as the legendary Blue Eyes White Dragon." Obviously, it has the exact same stats. It's a level 8, 3000 attack, 2500 defense monster, so it was sort of the counterpart to the original Blue Eyes. For many players, though, the original version of Blackluster Soldier is the Ritual from Starter Deck Yu-Gi Evolution back in 2004. This card was released on March 1st in the TCG, and what's very strange here is that its counterpart, the one that's probably the most well-known Blackluster Soldier, was also released on that exact same day in the TCG. Very strange. Back in 1999 in the OCG, they had this Ritual version, but it took a long time to make its way into the TCG, and it kind of screwed up the release dates because now you had the original and the retrain released on the exact same day. However, even with the weird release date issue, I think most people agree that the original Blackluster Soldier is that Ritual variant. So this is a level 8 Earth Warrior Ritual with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. It has no actual effect, it just says you can Ritual summon this card with Blackluster Ritual, and as you probably expected already, Blackluster Soldier never really saw that much play because it basically does nothing, but still a very iconic original version of a card that got many retrains throughout the game's history. For a lot of people though, the most important version of this monster was Envoy of the Beginning. This card was released in Invasion of Chaos on the exact same day as that Yu-Gi Starter Deck Evolution. Invasion of Chaos was by far one of the most powerful, most impactful sets in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! We saw cards like this one, and Chaos Emperor Dragon, and Dark Magician of Chaos. So many great game-changing cards were released in that set. This was one of the better ones, of course, that's why we're talking about it, and it truly did make a huge impact on the metagame. This card says, cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Either target 1 monster on the field, banish it, this card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated, or if this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it can make a second attack in a row. This card was extremely overpowered back in 2004, and for a lot of players, this was one of the best monsters in the entire game. This card was so powerful in a ton of situations. If you needed to get rid of a big monster, well, now you can. Just banish it. If you wanted to attack twice to do a lot of damage, well, you can do that too. And all of it's on a gigantic 3000 attack monster. Wow, that was insanely good back in the day. This card, I think, was also fondly remembered because it was not near the same power level of Chaos Emperor Dragon. That card pretty much ruined the format, but Blackluster Soldier remained in the game for a couple formats after Chaos Emperor Dragon got banned, and in 2011, when Envoy of the Beginning got unbanned and went to limited status, it was still really good and people were playing it in tons of decks for years after that. That's pretty impressive considering by that point the card was 7 years old and it was still right at the same power level as many of the other cards in that era. Nowadays we don't see this card that often. It is currently at 3 copies per deck, but for a very long time this thing was one of the best boss monsters in the entire game. In 2006 we got Dragon Master Knight, a truly awesome combination of Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This thing thing's artwork is crazy. I think that's what most people remember it by. It is a level 12 monster with 5,000 attack and 5,000 defense. That is truly insane. Its materials are the original Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and it says must be fusion summoned. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon monster you control except this card. Realistically, Dragon Master Knight is not a very good monster. You will probably never see it in a competitive deck, but it is a very cool card, and for a lot of players, it didn't really matter that the card itself was not very good. It mattered that it was a cool combination of two iconic monsters. Now, after Dragon Master Knight, we had to wait quite a while for a new retrain of this iconic monster. We had to wait until 2014 before we got Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Evening Twilight. This is a level 8 Dark Warrior with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense, and it says cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by banishing all light monsters or all dark monsters from your graveyard while you have an equal number of each in your graveyard. While face up on the field, this card is also light attribute. When this card is special summoned, you can activate the appropriate effect based on the attribute of the monsters banished for the special summon. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. If you banished all light monsters, you can target one monster on the field and banish it. If you banished all dark monsters, you can banish one random card from your opponent's hand face down until your opponent's end phase. This card is not nearly as powerful as Envoy of the Beginning. The individual effects of this card and the downsides with them are not terrible, but when combined all into one big effect with a lot of small downsides, it creates a situation where people don't really want to play that card. The summoning requirement, for example, is not terrible, but when you combine that summoning requirement with the not being able to conduct your battle phase effect, combined with the fact that the banishing effects are not really that overpowered, it makes for a pretty underwhelming card. So far, we've looked at a bunch of cards that for most purposes are just individual cards. They're not part of a greater archetype. Yes, two of them are in the broad category of chaos monsters, but that's not really a true archetype. It's just a bunch of light and dark support cards. In 2015, though, we got a true Blackluster Soldier archetype. This was all about ritual summoning. It was really exciting. So in Dimension of Chaos, we got Blackluster Soldier Super Soldier, a level 8 Earth Warrior monster with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense. It says you can ritual summon this card with Super Soldier Ritual. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack in the graveyard. If this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Gaia the Fierce Night monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can only special summon Blackluster Soldier Super Soldier once per turn. What's cool about this card though is that in this set we got cards that when used for ritual summons for BLS ritual monsters, they gave those ritual monsters bonus effects that were based on Envoy of the Beginning and Envoy of the Evening Twilight. This was a really exciting retrain. It's always cool when an older card gets its own archetype in the future, and I know a lot of people even to this day really do enjoy playing the BLS ritual deck. In 2016 we got Blackluster Soldier Sacred Soldier, and while this card was pretty underwhelming in the TCG, I believe it was actually pretty good in Duel Links. This is a level 8 Light Warrior with 3,000 attack and 2,500 defense. It says when this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one of your banished light or dark monsters and one card your opponent controls. Return that banished card to the graveyard, and if you do, banish that card your opponent controls. You can only use this effect of Blackluster Soldier Sacred Soldier once per turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can target one level 7 or lower warrior type monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. While on the field, this card is pretty insane even by TCG standards, but It's a little bit tricky to actually get it there because it does not have an effect that can special summon itself, so you'll have to find another way to get it on the board. Like I said, not very good in the TCG, but honestly, if this card had the regular Chaos Monster summoning requirement of just banishing one light and one dark from your graveyard, this probably would have been pretty insane. A few years later in 2019, we got the very impressive retrain Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. I know the last few retrains have not been that exciting, they did not see that much play, but this card is insanely powerful. It is a very excellent retrain of an iconic monster. This takes 3 monsters with 3 different names to summon, and it says if this card was link summoned using a level 7 or higher monster or monsters as material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Already we are off to a great start. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can activate one of these effects. Either this card gains 1500 attack, or this card can make a second attack during the battle phase of your next turn, or banish one card on the field. This is how you do a retrain of an older monster. The effect is very reminiscent of Envoy of the Beginning from back in 2004, but it puts it in a modern context on a Link 3 monster. I love this card. I do not love playing against this card because when your opponent is able to summon it using a level 7 or higher monster, it is very difficult to deal with, but still, I do have to appreciate a retrain of an older monster that actually did see tons of competitive play and is honestly still pretty good even right now if you have a deck that can actually summon level 7 or higher monsters. And finally, not too long ago in June of 2020, we got Toon BLS and Toon Chaos. So Toon Chaos was all about Chaos monsters and Toon monsters, so it made sense for a Toon Blackluster Soldier. This was a really exciting card and probably one of the most hyped cards out of Toon Chaos even before we knew the effect. This is a level 8 Earth Warrior Toon effect monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. It says cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by tributing Toon monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal 8 or more. While you control Toon World and your opponent controls no Toon monsters, this card can attack directly. Once per turn, if you control Toon World, you can target one card on the field, banish it. Also, this card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. This card does not have the double attacking effect of the older Envoy of the Beginning, but it does have the banishing effect, and this time it's actually upgraded because you can banish any card, not just monsters. And currently, as far as I know at least, this card is very popular in pretty much every single Toon deck. Anyway, that is all for episode 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Icons. If you guys missed the first episode on Summoned Skull, make sure to check it out after watching this video. I'll make sure to link it in the description below. I'll see you guys later though. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.